Cool, Marvel Rivals is beating Overwatch because it's broken. I know this is going to be bullshit. Let's see what they've got. Marvel Rivals is beating Overwatch because it's broken. I seriously doubt it, guys.
Oh, 2 healers, 3 healers, 4 healers, 5. How the hell am I meant to survive? Oh yeah, you're right, Ludo. Yeah, I've been playing so much Marvel Rivals recently. I've put like 250 hours into it, reached the top 1% of players competitively in Season 0 and made myself extremely upset doing it. But this is probably the most obsessed I've been with the game in a long time. But why? Why is this game seeing so much success over its competitors, even when it's seemingly copying someone else's homework?
Because like nobody cares about people copying things, right? Like it just matters whether the game's good, and I think the genre's good, so people play it, right?
Let's be real, Ludo. This game is clearly heavily inspired by Overwatch. Star-Lord's gameplay design is just Tracer, Reaper, and Soldier 76 all combined. Magneto is Sigmar, Iron Man is Pharah, Cloak and Dagger is Moira, Scarlet Witch is Quick Play Moira, and Widow Black is just Make a Widow and vice versa. And I could go on ad nauseum, but you get the point. But if this game is replicating,
I don't care about people copying things, by the way. It doesn't really matter to me at all. Yeah, Star-Lord is more Echo. I agree with that. Just the kind of like dodge system with 3 dodges is like, it's all a mishmash. Everything's a copy of everything. That's just media in general, so why would I care?
Of Overwatch's designs, why is Rivals succeeding where Overwatch is falling apart?
Because the games industry is winner take all, and they've took it all.
Well, yeah, Marvel
much
does have a really strong pull with its IP, but that's just a hook to get people in. Also, it has a lot to do with how Blizzard are handling their content strategy and monetization. Just compare their Battle Pass offerings. But no, I think the core reason this game is
the question is whether Rivals Battle Pass is going to go down over time, whether they can keep up that schedule, whether it's been front-loaded into this first or 2 Battle Passes.
The popularity it has is because it's kind of broken. And what I mean by this is that the way each Rivals hero is balanced would, for other hero shooters, be considered completely busted. For example, let's look at some of Overwatch's balancing blunders from days of old. When Overwatch 1 was released, McCree could stun you with his grenade, and then his Fan the Hammer dealt enough damage to one-shot his enemies.
It was more that Fan the Hammer was doing full bullet damage, right? It wasn't really the... I mean, the flashbang kind of stayed in the same
Charged body shot from Widowmaker could kill Zenyatta outright. These are just a couple examples of the insane power levels of early Overwatch, and all of these things were nerfed or redesigned completely because they were deemed too strong. Now compare this to Rivals.
People are already talking about Rivals Battle Pass being worse than Overwatch's. Yeah, I think it is.
And even after his first major balance
fine,
patch, Iron Man can melt you 100-0 in half a second. You can get one shot by Hawkeye or be destroyed by any and all duelists in the game before you even have a chance to react. Well, this time to kill is incredibly low for multiple reasons. For one, it matches the power fantasy of playing a literal superhero. Having stalemates where it takes an age to plink down another hero would break that fantasy, but this also makes it feel
having stalemates would break the fantasy, and people like the low. Is the time to kill in Rivals actually that much lower than in Overwatch right now? Like 1-to-1 or anything like that? Like there's 2 kind of like systems. There's 1-to-1, duel with support, and then sustain in general, right? Might be higher than it. I don't think it's lower.
As if you had the one-up on the enemy you were fighting. Engagements because of this can be quick, brutal, and incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, is it a superhero fantasy that superheroes fighting each other is a quick fight? Yeah, I don't think that's actually like 1v1 is about the same. I think it's about the same, yeah. I mean, Overwatch feels burst. I'm not even sure if this is true.
Balance out this fast time to kill, they keep the same type of intense power level for their healers and tanks as well to encourage a specific level of team play. For example, Iron Fist is busted in most 1v1s and can seemingly melt any squishy, but if a single healer is on them, Iron Fist is physically unable to do enough damage to kill them at all.
Yeah, so you die instantly if other people on your team don't react, or you roll over the entire enemy team.
Through team play, it allows these engagements to go from one-shot skill checks to complex exchanges of poke, push and pull until someone slips up or ultimates force certain situations.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting way to frame it, because it's not really an intense like trade. It's more like You threaten somebody, they peel, you do nothing. You go threaten somebody else, they peel, you do nothing. You go threaten somebody else, they forget to peel, they die through basically no interaction with you whatsoever. Or ultimates override it, right? So that's what he's describing. I don't think that's complex and like interplay. I think an actual resource trade between those two things where it matters if that person peeling for the person in the back line because they're losing out on something else meaningful is more reasonable. I don't think we got enough healing that we can instantly top up the tanks after turning around, and it just matters whether we have our attention. And I don't like everything basically being tied to attention by everything being good. I don't think that's doing well at the moment.
The souped-up nature of any and all of these roles and how they...
Yeah, tanks in Overwatch do way more damage. That's true, 100%. And it's weird that he'd frame the tanks as doing... like having the same power, because it's pretty clear that they don't. They're just really survivable in Rivals. They don't actually have the same power as they do in Overwatch.
Interact with one another on their own teams allows them to balance each character individually for fun in a way that would seem completely busted in any other game like Overwatch. For example, Pharah is balanced in a way that she cannot fly infinitely and has to use a fuel meter, because allowing her to effortlessly fly around the map, finding the perfect off angles to pounce on supports would be too...
Oh, I get it. This is a video with the basic misunderstanding. Do you know what the basic misunderstanding in this video is, right, guys? That things have been balanced for power instead of balanced for things not being fun to play against, right? That's the mistake that they've made, right? Pharah isn't balanced this way with like going down over time because of balance considerations. They're balanced on that because it really isn't fun to play with a character in the skybox. It's actually like once people start playing against it for a while, it becomes extremely irritating instead of fun.
Powerful, but Rivals is just like,
it's not that it's good,
fuck
it's
it,
not
that's
that good
fun.
to be in the skybox.
Give Iron Man the ability to fly infinitely and be the messed up pigeon in the corners waiting for his prey. Is that balanced? Well, yes and no. The idea of...
yeah, like, is it balanced? Doesn't matter. The point is, we didn't make Pharah limited for balance. We did it for other reasons.
Balance is kind of nebulous because you have to think of it of what you're balancing for.
The reason why flying is more or less okay on Rivals is because he's slow and easy to track. Yeah, I'd say so, which makes him feel a little bit more lumbering than other characters, right? It's a lot more. It's bad for him, and I guess that's the thing. You can't have a lot of movement and ability to play in the air, and it's the same for Storm and Iron Man, right? There's not a lot of movement while also doing other things, so you can interact with them a bit better. But that's for that reason they're kind of boring, if you get what I mean.
I made an entire episode on this focused on the depravity of Mario Kart's balance and how it aims to not be balanced in the sense of making things fair, but balanced in a way to encourage engaging and entertaining gameplay moments.
Yes, boring things get removed because they're boring. That's why we remove perma-flying from Pharah in the skybox.
Just like Mario Kart, Marvel Rivals is balanced for fun and power fantasy first.
Fun and power fantasy for the hero, not fun to play against or fun to engage with from other people. I kind of agree with that. If you amp up the enjoyment of every single character in and of themselves, maybe that counteracts the general poor quality of the average gameplay that results from it, because you're not interacting with people in a reasonable way, or there's a lot of interaction that you can't deal with, or you're getting in skill a lot of times, or other things like that that just completely unfair from a 1v1 perspective. Maybe that's true, but I've said a couple of times, as time goes on in Rivals, people are going to less focus on the things they've been doing constantly, which is popping off and getting that 1 or 2 kills with the ultimate or with bullshit like this, the Hulk team up. And instead, they're going to focus on the average gameplay, which has been brought down by the fact that this exists in the game.
Rather than making things objectively fair. For example, in a lot of people's eyes, Iron Man is completely bonkers busted. The flying, nutty. The beam, stupid. The team up with Hulk that makes his...
I don't care about him being busted. I care about him being busted, making the game more boring.
Giga mode, pure bastarge. But in their first major patch, did they nerf Iron Man or the Hulk team up whatsoever? Oh, I think not.
Yeah,
because
they
the
didn't.
power fantasy is fun, and that can be countered by other characters' equally busted ass kit.
Can it? Can Iron Man be countered by other characters' equally busted kit? Or is Iron Man just really annoying to play against and it doesn't matter if you counter it because Iron Man's going to be above you, literally in this corner up here, like at the side, so you can't actually interact with him?
Now, in the right hands, most of these characters can do an insane amount of carrying for their team. So much so that certain heroes get perma-banned in high
I
rank
think you can
play.
say about that about any hero in this genre, though. I don't think
But
it's
that's
unique
the
to Mark
question.
Rivals.
When you balance for fun, is it possible to also balance for competitive play? For
When you and that's the thing, like balancing for fun is not something that is only good for low rank players. Balancing for fun for individual heroes, like we're talking about here, actually affects the low rank players in a negative way as well. It's not this fun at low level versus competitive at high level. Is the gameplay for yourself on the receiving and giving end fun at low level, and the same for high level, right? Yeah, you have to have the connection, and you have the additional thing of, is it balanced enough at high level that things are more or less reasonable, and at low level is the average thing that people want to do when they load into the game reasonable, or is that causing degenerate gameplay loops and other stuff like that? It's not nearly as simple as this guy.
example, Iron Fist. Because of his high mobility and burst potential, he dominates in quick play, but in the high ranks of competitive, he tends to struggle. Now, if you buffed him in an attempt to match the other character's performance and win rates in ranked, he would become a menace in lower ranked play, to the point where games would be unplayable for most players.
Yes.
He's not particularly balanced for ranked play, but on the other end of the spectrum, Hela dominated in the Season 0 meta because of her ability
What was
to
the
the high
point there?
ranks of competitive. Now,
Balancing for fun, just kind of like a weird misnomer here.
if you buffed him in an attempt to match the other character's performance and win rates in ranked, he would become
When
a
you say in rank, do you mean in high rank play? Is that what you're trying to say?
menace in lower rank play, to the
Okay,
point.
so yeah, he's talking about if Iron Fist was good in high rank, he'd be really good in low rank. I think you can gate that by the ease of applicability of his stuff, and also like quite a few other things. There's a lot of skill scaling factors that you can put into the game, mainly timing, positioning, mechanics, like general game knowledge. Like there's a load of different things that scale, and you have to like balance them together. I don't think Iron Fist has been done well in any shape or form because of that. He's a very poorly scaling hero. I don't think he necessarily has to be good at the high level. I'm fine with him falling off at the high level.
Where games would be unplayable for most players. He's not particularly balanced for ranked play, but on the other end of the
High
spectrum,
ranked play. Okay.
Hela dominated in the Season 0 meta because of her ability to two-shot people. But in the first
I mean, it's because of her ability to two-shot people, and the fact that she has a free escape, and the fact that she has a stun, and the fact that she has an incredibly good ultimate. It's not just a two-shot. Hela is broken, was broken. This is ridiculous as a character. It's just bad design.
challenge patch, the devs didn't do what most players would assume and nerf her damage, but instead nerfed her health total. They didn't abandon Hela's ability to kill people, which is where her
But
personal
that's a really interesting one there, because it wasn't just the ability to kill people that was making her oppressive. It was the fact that she has all of these things in a kit, and that's why she's still as good.
fun lies, but instead making it easier for others to kill her.
Yeah, they
increasing
effectively didn't nerf her.
their fantasy and fun. They want to keep the high kill potential of all of the rival heroes because this is what keeps this fantasy alive for the casual players.
But nobody was complaining about the kill potential of Hela. People were complaining that Hela had kill potential, complete denial of being able to be pushed out of an angle, free escape from that angle, and had a stun on that angle, so they also had close range dueling potential and had a really strong ultimate. It wasn't just that.
Which
It
is
wasn't
the
just that.
bread and butter of the player base. Well, as much as I've been praising Rival's approach to balance, it does have its hang-ups. The devs have expressed
I don't think
that
a single thing that he said about the approach to balance actually checks out.
there are aversions to roll queue. And this is where the game forces you to pick between a healer, a DPS, or a tank before you even search for a match. And this can be done to create a smoother experience for players, as there will always be a certain amount of supports in every game. But the devs have expressed that they would like it to be a free-for-all so players can play what they want at any time, but also have the opportunity to create unique team compositions from match to match, and this is commendable, but the issues arise when you combine it with the low time to kill and balance of the game. People have found out that healers are so powerful that if you put 3, 4, even 5 in a match
They're
together,
becoming sentient. They're becoming sentient. This is bad.
if they're playing to any reasonable amount of skill, the team is practically unkillable, and each one of their ults basically makes the game unplayable for the opposing team.
Yep.
Oh, side tangent, Luna Snow's ult lasting for 12 seconds is actual madness, and then times that by
Every single
2
video is something something Luna Snow something something.
because
that is
Loki
even,
copies
like,
it.
remotely
Nearly
correct.
half a minute of not being able to play the game. Piss off! Back to the balance talk. Because the entire team could play healers, it makes it incredibly hard to balance the game for those specific situations. Ways to solve this do exist. One is adding role queue, but they've already said they're not going to do that.
The ways to solve it while in this queue is to not make sustain incredibly high, which is
The other is
something they
adding
can't do
characters
in
that
the
have
game at the moment.
anti-healing properties, and mark my words, I would not be surprised if an anti-heal adjacent character
If there's an anti-heal character, it's going to be so funny watching that immediately dominate loads of things.
is introduced real soon. Notwithstanding, all of this is
Flats
just
has already moved into variety because there's not enough ban slots for the broken supports. Man, what a life.
fun, chaotic, but fun because of that, and that's why I think Marvel Rivals is succeeding. Overwatch 1 in the early days was balanced for this kind of fun. Overwatch 2 is balanced more for competition.
That's
You can
not true. Like everyone always says that. It's just not true. The fun things that got removed were unfun for low rank players. Torbjorn's turrets, Symmetra's turrets, all of that kind of stuff. Bastion was worse for low rank players than it is high rank players. It's not actually balanced for high rank. I don't know where this got started.
can never keep a game like this truly balanced.
Rivals Dev says they're nerfing all supports next season update. Interesting. I wonder if that's going to break it.
Instead, you attempt to keep the fun levels where
When they
they
nerf all supports, if they nerf sustain, what happens to one support comps? Is that just not valid?
If a certain hero is overperforming, you don't nerf it, but instead buff that character's direct counters. Those counter picks then become strong and appear to be dominating the meta, and then the counter to the counter starts to get more play because of that, and then the cycle continues. Balancing for fun actively encourages diverse play while also allowing players to stay at the same busted power level to live out that fantasy of being a hero. Marvel Rivals is balanced for fun engagements first overall. Now add the team
This
ups.
guy just says fun over and over again, man. No, it's not balance for fun engagement first. It's balance for things being incredibly sharp and not having counterplay in any way, shape, or form for certain characters. And you can say that's going to stay like fresh forever. It's not going to stay fresh for more than another month.
Sick ass skins and the generous free to play model. Damn guys, I think NetEase knows what they're doing. But what do you think? Is Marvel
Yeah,
Rivals
counterpicking is now a fun and engaging thing because it allows you to have the hero fantasy. Yeah, I have no idea, man. That's such a mess. Yeah, waiting 30 seconds every fight until the support ult are over is fun. It's such a weird like argument, and I feel like people really aren't thinking clearly on this game yet.